Hello and welcome back. Today is the first day that we start working on our as-yet untitled adventure for Downbelow RPG. I'm Steve.
I'm Ian.
And we're going to be starting with the setup and possibly the first scene of the situation today. I think actually today we're going to start with the setup and brief overview. We'll actually launch into the first scene in a day or two. The format for this, for those of you who did not see the last video, is very simple. One of us is going to set up the scene. In this case, Ian is going to ask me a question or two to get me started. I am going to give you a brief overview and as in-depth as you need to go about the scene in question today. And then tomorrow we're going to reverse the process and Ian is going to talk about the mechanics.
Yep. Because in this system, in this setting, in this game, everything starts with story and the mechanics exist very directly as an extension of that, where the successes and failures in the story are used as a currency in the system. So, let's start with who are we going to focus on today as protagonists and antagonists for this adventure?
Okay, so, like I said, this is going to be the brief overview of what the heck is this adventure about. This adventure is a fairly straightforward cyberpunk adventure. For those of you who are used to it, it's really this is a use of classic cyberpunk tropes reframed for Downbelow. In this adventure, we're going to be dealing with a group of player characters. This can work with anywhere from a very small to a very large group, but I feel that it works best for a medium-sized group of 4 to 6 players. Any more than that, and well, coincidences start stretching into disbelief. Also, the lever, well, you'll see when we get there. Any less than that, and, well, the story still works. It just becomes a little less of what we're framing it as, and a little more of a personal vendetta against a conspiracy in a way. So, from the player's perspective, this whole thing is going to start when they are all being arraigned on a similar date, possibly in the exact same courtroom, probably differently. They're probably going to be comparing notes in a holding cell after the arraignment for crimes that they say they did not commit.
Why is it so important that they say they didn't commit it?
Well, because this actually gives the freedom to let the players or the game master decide whether the player did or did not, in fact, commit the crime. We'll talk about the exact specifics of this in the moments to come, possibly in the episodes to come. But the players are claiming innocence in this. The behind-the-scenes reason for this is, regardless of whether they are innocent or guilty of the crimes, the characters have been caught up in a conspiracy. This is not a world-shaking conspiracy. Instead, it's a conspiracy by one of the major corporations to acquire test subjects of a certain demographic. That brings us to something important in scenario design. For this scenario, all the players must have one major demographic in common. Possibly, let's just say 2. For our purposes, two things they have in common are, number 1, they're going to be between the ages of 18 and 24. Number 2, they're going to be in good physical health with few chronic disabilities. This is because what they are being shanghaied for is testing of experimental cybernetic interfaces. The thing that sets this apart from a lot of other type of conspiracy theory plots in media is that this is not an evil goal. This is not a goal of using cybernetics to turn people into horrible killing machine soulless monsters. This is not a plot to genetically retro-engineer them into bug people. This is not a plot to mind control them. This is not a plot to take control of anything.
It's basically just a plot to get around legal restrictions on human testing.
And if this testing, here's the moral gray area. If this testing pans out, the company who we have to name, let's call them. You know what? Let's call them Biodynamics Transglobal, or something like that. So I'm going to write it.
Biodynamics, just
Biodynamics. So if this pans out, Biodynamics is actually going to make millions of people's lives way better, because when the experimental interface works, the body will actually your natural sense of self, which right now expands. If you get in a car, your sense of self actually expands to encompass the car when you start driving. That's why people say he almost hit me instead of he almost hit the car. If you pick up a stick, it becomes an extension of your body because you're used to holding things in your hand. If this succeeds, the millions of people worldwide are going to better be able to integrate with their cybernetics and be less clumsy, less awkward, more real. I mean, this is a good thing. It's just that there are some very unethical things being done for that.
And the people who they abduct for their illegal human testing, well, they wouldn't be able to let them leave again.
So the thing about this is a conspiracy where instead of it being a quick reveal of in Shadowrun terms, oh my lord, the corporations are evil, or in cyberpunk terms, we have to blow the whistle to someone, this is a situation where the actual horror of the conspiracy comes in simply how callous it is and how unvalued the amount of one human life is to the testers.
So the two big cyberpunk tropes that we're invoking here are, one, we're invoking one from our world specifically, which is the identity laundering we've mentioned in the Quick Questions videos. And
which we haven't talked about in this, so Ian's actually jumping ahead there.
And two is the... Well, we did. We said they were framed for a crime.
No, we didn't actually say that.
Yes, we did.
No, I didn't actually explicitly say that. I said they're being arraigned for a crime they say they didn't commit. I haven't talked about those specifics yet.
We implied that some of them didn't actually commit it. Regardless of that, the other trope that we're invoking is the big corporation abducting people for unethical testing. And we will talk more about the mechanics behind these general setups in the next video.
Yep.